Good evening, guys. Hundreds are charged with criminal violations related to immigration laws in just 1 week. CBP increases searches of electronic devices of citizens and non-citizens who are trying to enter the United States. This and other very important news related to immigration we will be discussing in tonight's live. We're also going to cover an easy news that DHS stopped processing green cards for certain groups of immigrants. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Alina Shaltsova. I'm a New York immigration attorney. Using my social media channels, I host these lives regularly to update you guys with regard as to what's happening in the United States immigration, and of course to answer your guys' questions live. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget, please, to follow so that we're not going to lose this connection. Like and share the stream, and let's start. Uneasy news we're receiving with regard to immigration. Check this out. Multiple sources report that Trump administration has quietly paused processing of green cards applications filed by certain individuals. Not by everyone, but certain individuals. But who are these individuals and why are they doing it? And mind, there was never any official announcement about this. Well, in fact, according to these news sources, the individuals that are being targeted are those who either have refugee status or asylee status. A refugee is someone who filed for refugee status while they were outside of the United States. They were vetted usually for almost 2 years. And upon entry to the United States, they have this protected status, refugee status. An asylee, on the other hand, is somebody who came to the United States first and then filed for asylum in the United States, which is a different process. They submitted Form I-589. And guess what? They also were vetted. And they also were granted special protected status, asylum status. But now Trump's administration is doubting those people's credentials for asylum. They're saying that perhaps some of these people present risk to the United States national security. I'm not sure where they get the information from, but one thing remains a fact that today almost every news source reported that the refugees and asylees are not going to receive their green cards soon. Why? Because the government of the United States is going to double and triple check their background. What do you believe they will be checking first? Well, according to some sources, the first thing that they will be checking would be one's social media and activity online. You may think that you are completely anonymous when you make a comment or when you watch even a video of some sort for far too long, but you need to know that nothing is truly anonymous online. Your search history is recorded by somebody somewhere. Your nickname that you spend some time inventing is also can be cracked, by the way, very easily. There is, in fact, a database that even some attorneys have access to that they may use to find persons' complete background based just on one email that they get. It's all that's required is one email, and we can find out very often person's true name, their address, whether or not they were divorced, married, what company they used to pay their bills. All right. So if a lawyer may have access to that information, you can imagine that FBI, who is now working together with ICE, and of course, they also work together with IRS, may easily crack the system and find out everything they want about you. Just please keep this in mind. So this is one of the points that will be vetted or being vetted as we speak, right? But what else? Well, perhaps they're going to do a deeper background check as to the evidence that you presented during your asylum claim, as well as your work experience in your home country. That would be just logical to assume, right? Your background experience, whether or not you were in the military, or whether or not you worked for a particular organization, you are alleging in your asylum application you were, and if you belong to a particular organization, if your asylum claim is based on membership in that or this organization. Perhaps they will even go as far as interview some people. You may though say, wait a second, but I thought that the asylum process is completely confidential. Well, this is true, but not so completely. The United States government always had a right to verify the authenticity, whether or not this or that statement or evidence is true. And how would they do it? Well, typically they do it through the consulate channels. They would reach out to the consulate overseas in your home country and they would ask for verification of authenticity of this or that document. And nothing prohibits them, of course, to run the background check through their independent databases. Just please keep that in mind. And social media, of course, is playing a huge role in that background check because when we believe that nobody knows our true name, we probably speak our true mind and express our views. And that, of course, if those views goes are in discord with what you presented in your asylum claim, as you can imagine, will become an issue. So this is a very important update. You have to know that this is nothing new per se, but the scale as to how it's being implemented now is very, very new. Another very important update relates to the fact that CBP, Customs and Border Protection, increased the searches of electronic devices of people who are trying to return or enter the United States, including US citizens. Again, this is per se is not a new practice. CBP, I believe they started doing it several years ago, and during the Biden administration, they used this measure very conservatively. They would have to have literally a supervisor's okay in order to actually access your device. But recently, or maybe perhaps it's because it's reported on such a large scale, according to the media outlets, the search became more routine and just more widespread. In fact, American Immigration Lawyers Association issued like a note that lawyers may share with their clients that explains how somebody who is trying to enter the United States may protect their data from this search. And I'm going to tell you that it's not easy if you are carrying a device with you. If you're not carrying a device, of course, you're safe. But in this day and age, most of us, we will have some sort of a device. Either it's going to be a laptop or a phone or both usually. And of course, it's challenging to not to use the devices when we're away, if we live in the United States, or even if we enter the United States with our own devices from our home country. So the first advice that they give is they say, if you can, don't travel with a device that you use for work or personal life. Have yourself purchase a separate device. Well, kind of obvious, right? If I don't have something to be searched, then it cannot be searched. All right. Then they say that you should also turn off your devices when you are crossing the border. Turn off your devices. I believe this advice comes from the fact that they believe, American Immigration Lawyers Association, that CBP may have remote access to your devices. But can they do that? Can they do that? Well, apparently they can. They can search devices not of only non-citizens, but also US citizens, because you do not have any constitutional rights at the border, apart from one federal court, I believe one federal court held otherwise. The rest of the court stated that you don't have this constitutional right at the border. Now, do you have to give password to your device? Apparently, no, you don't have to. But if you refuse, what's going to happen? Well, of course, they're going to confiscate the device and detain you, probably using the national security risk grounds. It means that most likely you will be denied entry into the United States if you have a visa. You may be denied entry even if you have advanced parole. If you're a US citizen, you're probably going to be let go, and nothing super bad is going to happen to you. Just you're going to lose your device for some time. But if you're a green card holder and lower on the scale of immigration status, you're probably going to have some serious consequences. You just have to be ready for that if you choose not to cooperate. Now, you cannot go bananas on the border, at the border, right? I know it's very unpleasant, but one thing you have to remember that those guys are not joking. If they present a request, most likely you would have to comply depending on the request. You have to understand that. And no jokes whatsoever as to what information you may have there. Why? Because they take every statement very seriously. And all that's going to result from you trying to be friendly or, trying to make this personal connection is that you're probably going to be detained. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's a fact. If you have friends or family traveling to the United States, I think it's worth it sharing this information with them just so they're ready. 99% of people will have no issues whatsoever, right? But some people who on B1, B2 visa, tourist visa, visitors visa, were planning on working in the United States, probably going to have issues, okay? Why? Because CBP also may have access to your text messages, personal information such as pictures, emails, and even your cloud services. So another very important advice that American Immigration Lawyers Association is giving is that they're saying that please, please, please try to sign out of your personal accounts and your cloud services at the time of your traveling. All right. I hope these tips are helpful. If so, please like and share this video. Send me some hearts, guys, if you're watching me on TikTok. And we're going to move on to the next very important piece of information that you need to know. Well, apparently, just in 1 week, federal authorities charged over 800 what they call illegal aliens with immigration crimes. What are those crimes? Typically, it would be reentry after removal, unlawful reentry, entry without complying with the United States laws, meaning that you entered not at the port of entry. And perhaps there is something else they don't really disclose. This is a Fox News article, but as I published on my social media, things like failure to depart the United States after the final order of removal is a crime. Failure to register is a crime. Let me think. Well, there are some other exotic things like failure to carry on your green card can be a crime as well. But honestly, in 16 years, I've been practicing immigration law in the United States. I've never met an individual who was actually charged with that particular crime, which is, of course, may change under this administration. But the fact is, unlike previous administrations, and even unlike previous Trump's administration, this time around, they're actively pushing criminal charges. Criminal charges usually mean crime of moral turpitude, usually mean disqualifying offenses for a lot of immigration benefits, federal detention, and the record that will prevent you from filing for waivers. Please keep this in mind. If you believe you may be criminally charged, of course, work with a criminal defense attorney, first of all, and immigration lawyer. All right. So these updates for today. If you guys have something else you would like to discuss, please let me know. Otherwise, I will proceed answering your guys' questions. I hope everybody is doing fantastic today. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Yaha. And let's start. Hi, Mohammed. Hello. How long I-601 waiver takes outside of the country? It may take up to 4 years. Very long time. All right. Up to 4 years. Thank you, Yaha, for your nice words. Hi, Ginger. I have a question. I got a medical marijuana on a card in 2019, does USCIS officer will know about it in my marriage-based interview? Well, I may ask you about that if they really want you. Will they actively know about this? If they don't run deep background checks, they will not, probably. Hi, John. Is it safe to travel to cruise if you have 10-year green card? Typically, you should be absolutely safe to take short trips abroad as long as you did not have any and do not have any arrests or pending criminal charges or past criminal charges, and your social media is in check. Because apparently, if you said something that this administration believes is in violation of, will present serious issue for the United States foreign policy, or presents national security issue, you may be not able to enter back the United States. That's according to the news sources. I have to tell you that what bothers me with all these reports of people being arrested at the border, that we don't receive full picture, right? And from what I saw so far, in most cases, people who were arrested at the border had criminal charges against them, at least at some point. All right. And this is very important. Some other people spent a lot of time out of the United States. And it's understandable, of course. If you spend more than 6 months out of the United States, you probably will be questioned, at least at the border, if you're returning with a green card. But then there were reports of this and that, being arrested and being in custody without any explanation. And of course, then we won't be able to comment on that as to what is going on and why it's happening this way, right? So I'm sharing this with you just so you will be able to process the information the right way when you see it online. Okay, that's all. Just so you understand. From a perspective of the immigration attorney, every time I see the report, I'm looking for the reason that is grounded in law. And most of the times, I can find some sort of explanation as to why it happened. Sometimes they just don't share the information. So this is very important to understand. All right. Hi, Danilo. Can I apply again to for I-751 if my I-751 is denied? Yes. I-751 is a petition to remove conditions from your green card. Very interestingly, there is no limit on how many times you can file this form. All right? No limit. So if it's denied, yes, you can reapply depending on what's happening. You know, you should have the right strategy with your attorney. I have to tell you that you need to know one important thing. If you are directed to court after you failed I-751, because this is the policy, in court, the judge will be able to review only the grounds for the denial that were previously vetted before USCIS. So if before you filed your I-751 based on jointly filed petition, for example, and you never presented any waiver grounds, in court, the judge will not be able to consider any waiver grounds because you didn't present those grounds before USCIS. Keep that in mind, okay? Very important. All right. Let's see. Let's see if we have more questions here. All right. Hi, from Jogs. I just approved my I-131, but my green card is not available. Can I travel to Europe and back without any restrictions in entering back? Well, if your green card is not available, how are you going to be using the travel authorization that you have? If you're having a green card and I-131, I assume that you are a refugee. So the only way, or Asylees, so the only way you will be able to travel back and forth if you're using your home country's passport. And I'm going to tell you, don't do that, because that's not how the law works. If you guys are a refugee or an asylee in the United States, You must use travel document to travel, not your country's passport. Now, you guys on TikTok, I see that my stream was restricted several times because they don't like that I speak on immigration topic on TikTok and whatever, right? TikTok, after this whole fiasco, became very. Once it came back, it became very restrictive. All right, just so you know. But let's see. So, good evening. How was your day? My day was fine. Thank you very much. I had a number of very nice consultations. Hi, Lee. Do you help with EB1s? Yes, I do help with EB1s, extraordinary ability cases. Absolutely. Thank you very much, 644, for your gifts. All right. She has B1, B2 visa. Can she marry me in the United States? All right. So 644, if you are a US citizen and the person you met is on a visa, well, typically, of course, you can get married. All right. Marriage and immigration status are two different things unless and until certain interesting points. So when you're entering the United States on a tourist visa, marriage is not the main purpose or should not be the purpose of your entry. Sometimes when people get into the United States on a tourist visa and then they get married and then they go for another tourist visa, they get denied because the consulate says, wait a second, you did something in the United States that was in discord with the purpose of your initial travel. So keep that in mind, all right? But let's say the person did not have any plans of marrying you. They entered the United States on B1, B2, and after a while, you guys met and you fell in love, and you quickly decided that you want to get married and later apply for the green card. Well, now the government is going to look at this. How soon after entry the person got married and filed for a green card? If within 90 days, they will for sure, probably, especially under this administration, be considered in violation of their intentions at the time of the entry and probably very highly likely will be charged with immigration fraud, right? If it's past that mark, the government has discretion as to what they want to do with you. And they also have discretion prior to this mark. It's very interesting. So the more cut and dry rule works for visas, but while you're in the United States, the rule is kind of blurred. So you just have to keep in mind that you're probably going to be called for an interview in this situation, and you're going to be asked as to how your relationship was developing and how everything was unfolding, so that officer will be able to make a determination whether or not to charge your non-citizen with immigration fraud. All right. And you guys on TikTok, thank you very much for sharing this live. I do appreciate you helping me to grow my channel. Let's see what other interesting questions we have. Green card for asylum got paused. That's correct, old myth. That's according to the numerous sources. Unfortunately, that's the news we receive, and most likely this is the truth. They paused it for unspecified time, I guess, trying to implement new system of vetting and give officers new instructions as to how they have to approach those cases. Okay. Hi, Sarah. Can you go visit your home country after you became a U.S. citizen through asylum? Yes, sure, but only as a U.S. citizen. You will have to enter your home country using U.S. citizen passport. All right. Did Trump pause green card applications? Yes, for asylees and refugees. All right. Hi, Sherry. What's going on with these people that have green cards and valid visas that are being detained? Right. So we discussed that at the very beginning. Usually, I believe that there is a good reason as to why it's happening. In majority of the times, there will be two main reasons why a green card holder or a visa holder will be detained at the border. Number one, for green card holders, criminal charges, guys. Number two, for green card holders, would be staying out of the United States for longer than 6 months, or taking frequent trips that are nearing 6 months mark outside of the United States and coming back for a shorter time. They spend less time in the United States than they spend time outside of the United States. For visa holders, currently the big issue is foreign policy issues. Lots of guys, students on visas, they took part in protests that this administration found to be in violation of their foreign policies. And it's kind of interesting because the previous administration never made that argument. This administration made this argument. So they sort of applied these restrictions retroactively, but they are revoking visas and placing people who are in the United States in removal proceedings, or are not allowing people who are trying to enter the United States to enter the United States. Okay, that's what's happening. Let's see if we have more questions. Hi, Nature and Adventure. How long does it take to get receipt notice after filing marriage-based green card? Typically, currently within a month. A little bit slower, actually, than it was during the Biden's administration. Yes. Hi, Mr. Singh talked about VAWA. VAWA people are going to be vetted harder than regular adjustment of status people. That was the announcement. Some lawyers who have a heavy load of VAWA cases are going to be investigated. That's what the administration announced. So, as well as lawyers who filed a lot of asylum cases or sued the government. So that's just the reality. All you need to do is remember one thing. If you are trying to file something with immigration, make sure it's a quality application. You qualify for the relief, at least how you see it, and you present true, real evidence, and then you'll be fine. Okay? There is a difference between a fraudulent application and a weak application. That's also very important to know. And, this news about government trying to go after lawyers who bring lawsuits. Well, I happen to practice before federal courts as well. So here how it goes. In a federal court, if a party brings a frivolous lawsuit, there are special sanctions against them. And that will be decided by a federal judge, typically not by the attorney general. All right? That's how it works. It's a very important point. I have no idea how this administration is going to go around this well-established rule, but it seems that nothing is outside of their reach. All right. Hi, Mississippi. I had my I-130 interview yesterday and I checked the website and it says case actively being reviewed. Okay. All right. So just yesterday, not a big deal. Typically it takes, a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And sometimes it takes several months before you get your decision. Can I go to my home country with a conditional green card or withdraw my pending asylum at USCIS? Do not do that. Don't do that right now. Nope, you cannot. Guys, let's see how the government will see it. So you filed for asylum and you stated under no circumstances you will ever go back to your home country. You find a way to get status through some other means, and as soon as you get your green card, you have only conditional green card, so it's fresh. You pack your suitcase, take the passport of your home country, and go back there. I think that there is a huge chance of you being charged with immigration fraud in this situation. This administration is extremely conservative, okay? So unless you would like to take that risk of losing your status and being forever banned from coming to the United States, I would reconsider the travel and, of course, speak with your attorneys to, whatever else is happening. Now, it could have been that country conditions of your country changed tremendously. Is it possible? Yes, of course, it's possible. Then you may have a good explanation as to why you lost your asylum qualifications and fear of returning back, and hence you returned to your home country. But that's just, you really have to just keep that in mind. Thank you guys very much for sharing this stream. Thank you for helping me to grow my social media. Let's see if we have more questions. Hi, I'm Gisola. I just saw on USA website that they're not processing current DACA applications, even though they're accepting them. What exactly does it mean? Unfortunately, I did not see this announcement, so I will not be able to comment on that. But before the federal judge's rule kicked in, the rule was that they were processing applications to renew DACA. They would accept, but not process till the end applications that were filed again. I'm sorry, new, that would be considered new applications. All right. Let's see. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, I figured out, Alexander, that it was a refugee travel document. Hi, Freedom. Do I have a phone number to ask about EAD validity? Guys, I do. If you would like to have a personal consultation, please call my office. I do charge for the consultations when they're confidential and personal. I cannot answer random phone calls without having allocated appointment time. It's just not my life. I'm a very busy attorney, but I do donate my time, which not many lawyers do, online for you right now, okay? And I have tons of free resources on my website, shoutsoba.com, on this YouTube channel, if you're watching on YouTube, of course, TikTok as well. So just keep that in mind. But I'm any human being, unless you're born very privileged, I have to work for a living. And me sharing my advice during the consultation, that's how lawyers make money, by selling their time. All right, this is the only way we can make a living. We do not sell green cards. We do not sell visas. We sell only our time. All right, it's true for every attorney. Hi, Steve. I have a travel documents for asylum granted. Can I travel? I don't have any criminal history. I mean, can you? Absolutely. Will it be risky? Perhaps, depending on the background of your asylum claim, what country you're from, what you said online, and if you ever faced any criminal charges. Just keep that in mind. Generally speaking, I believe right now it's not a favorable time to travel for anyone, including US citizens. Why? There are a lot of reports as to uncertainty happening at the border. And most likely, if you have everything in check, you will be absolutely fine. But the question is, why would you subject yourself to that? Is the risk worth taking? Just keep that in mind, okay? If you do not have, God forbid, some emergency, some medical issue, personal issue related to your family, stay away from the travel completely until things are going to be sorted out. All right, let me see. Hi, Njoma. What if your asylum pending case and you got married to a US citizen? Can you travel in another country with your country's passport? Oh, well, listen, that's a good question. I believe you can, just because you do need to have a travel document to travel internationally, and this will be your only way to travel. Since you never finished your asylum claim, you do not qualify for travel document, and you will have to use your passport's country, but do not go back to your country. All right, that's a big but that's a big thing. All right, let me see if we have more questions on TikTok. Hi, Adnan. I'm of Afghan with 10-year green card with no criminal background. Will I be able to re-enter the United States? That's another thing that you have to keep in mind. You know, there were numerous reports about travel ban, right? That I always want to say Biden administration. The Trump's administration is considering travel ban. When you take that trip and you're a dual citizen or you're a green card holder, forget it if you are a visa holder. Just don't do it if you're a visa holder. You may run into the situation if the travel ban is announced while you're traveling, that will at least delay your coming back to the United States. So again, right now, I do not believe it's the best time to travel. Hi, Cope. What can you do when a judge said he would approve your case at the individual hearing, but in 6 months, and you check UAR website and it keeps saying pending? What kind of case was that? You need to know something, that sometimes judges say that they would approve the case, but they don't actually approve it. And later, let's say that your country condition changes, right? They may deny the case if it's asylum case. It's also true for cancellation or removal cases. Something changes and the judge denies the case. So the judge's indication that they may approve the case sometimes is not a sure thing. I know that for a fact. So just keep that in mind. But cases pending, I mean, it's good and there is no bad decision either, right? You're just waiting for a decision. Perhaps you just have to be patient. Hi, Steve, I have a travel document through asylum granted. Can I travel? I don't have any criminal history. Right. So thank you very much for your gift, first of all. As I said, you have to take everything into consideration, potential ban as well. Is your country on any of this colored potential bans, like what is it, red, orange, and yellow? Um, how is your asylum claim? Are you confident that everything was done well? Did you work with a reputable attorney? Because sometimes people get into trouble, not even because they did something wrong. They just use services of a provider who got into trouble. And then your case get flagged, okay? And you didn't do anything wrong. You said everything correctly. You said the truth. So just keep it in mind. If the answers are no, 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 then I think you should be fine, right? I think you should be fine. Hi, Q-Team. My brother has an approved I-130 and starting to submit documents. If he wants to bring his son with him into the United States, what steps should he make? Who filed I-130 for him determines whether or not the son of your brother needs a separate I-130 to be approved. Okay, so I think guys consult with an attorney to determine whether the son may enjoy derivative status or not. All right. All right. Let's see what. Let's see, guys, from TikTok. Hi, Carrie. My husband has his green card, but he has a dismissed possession charge. Now a misdemeanor. Can he travel? Before Trump administration took over, I would say that he would be 100% fine. He should be fine now as well, as long as he keeps on him document proving that the charges were dismissed. But you need to know one thing. Being guilty for criminal purposes is different from being guilty for immigration purposes. For criminal purposes, you're guilty when you plead guilty or the judge finds you guilty. Pretty straightforward. But for immigration purposes, you may be guilty even if your conviction is dismissed or expunged, if you admit under oath to the US government officer that you actually committed the crime. Number one. And number two, if despite the dismissal or expungement, you actually suffered some sort of a punishment for what you've done. All right. So it's very interesting. If this administration takes more conservative approach, then you have to be very careful, even if you have dismissed charges, right? Just so you understand it fully. Hi, Aubrey. Is it recommended to file 1 week or months after marriage? Breeze, there is no rule as to when you want to file your green card case on marriage based on amount of days or hours after you get married. But what you need to focus on is how well your case is prepared. If you file the next day, how will you be able to present documents proving real marriage? That you guys have joint accounts, joint bills, filed taxes together, which not necessarily, you may be able to show that, but photos. I believe that you do have to give yourself some time to accumulate that evidence. All right. So the next day after marriage, perhaps only possible if you guys been dating for a while and have a very strong paper trail of your relationship and very strong evidence otherwise. Okay, then you don't need to worry about when you file. You'll be fine. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. I apologize that I cannot answer all your questions tonight. I hope these updates are helpful. If so, please like and share this stream. Don't forget to follow on TikTok so we meet again. And of course, on my Facebook and YouTube, I also publish regularly updates with regard to the United States immigration news. So please follow. I hope everybody's going to be safe, and I hope to see you soon.